Welcome to the Stretch2go podcast. My name is Ian Ray, your host. Today I have Hamish Vickerman, based out of Gold Coast, Australia. He's a physiotherapist and founder and creator of the Fasciitis Fighter. Hamish, welcome to the Stretch2go podcast.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Nate, let's do this. You're a physiotherapist. I know we kind of talked briefly, but you went from New Zealand to Australia. What made you move there besides it being so close?
Oh, yeah. So I actually moved with my parents. I was still 16, so I didn't really have a choice. But I don't know, maybe there's a bit more going on in Australia. It's a bigger country, more opportunities, and the weather's definitely a lot nicer than New Zealand. Still love New Zealand, but yeah,
Right
they're
on.
both cool.
Yeah, and then of course Gold Coast is beautiful known for its a lot of beaches and whatnot. Been there
Yeah,
3 years ago.
Oh, you been there?
Yeah, 2022. That's when I was there. Went up all over Australia and whatnot with my family. So it's a wonderful place, man.
Awesome.
As for you as a physiotherapist, what got you into doing that? Was that something you wanted to do growing up, or you kind of came across becoming a physiotherapist?
It's sort of one of those common sort of things where I played a lot of sport, yeah, like rugby, and tennis, and just having lots of injuries and having to go to the physiotherapist in my younger days. So I must have sort of thought this could be a cool thing to do as a career, and ended up just being able to get into that at university. I think I worked a bit harder in first year of university to switch over to physio. I did 2 degrees. I did exercise science and physiotherapy, so 2 degrees at once, but it wasn't too bad.
And then, as far as what you do as a practice, who do you typically treat, or who comes to your practice? Is it virtual or mostly in person?
I'm mostly in person, nearly all in person. So I do what we call sort of private practice in Australia. So I actually have my own little clinic in a doctor's medical centre. I don't treat too many people now. I mostly do fasciitis fighter. It's just got busier and busier over 8 years now. I sort of transitioned from doing full-time physio to, I don't know, maybe 20% of my week is physio now.
And then the story of fasciitis fighter. How did that come about? What was the aha moment that got you to building your products?
Yeah, it's an interesting, sort of interesting one. The RATH protocol had come out. So that was rolling up a towel to extend your toes while you did a calf raise. So the idea behind that was that you loaded up your plantar fascia and sort of small intrinsic foot muscles to hopefully improve some pain levels and function. And then, I was using that in clinic and sort of getting some reasonably good results. Look, not with everyone. It's not a sort of answer to everything. And then I was just running one day along I live near the beach and there's a nice path to run along. And I saw this person doing sort of calf raises with their toes like extended over this sort of seat. And I just had this sort of like ding, ding, ding. I was like, oh, I should just make something to take away this towel hassle. So I went back to my clinic like the next day and I told one of my colleagues, and he's like, nah, that no one would buy that. That won't work. And so I didn't do anything for a couple of years. And then I finally thought, oh, no, I think I should give this a crack. It sort of came out with the original version back in 2017.
Okay.
It was sort of similar, but a lot different to the current version, just with density of foam and size and a little bit of shape. So yeah, that's how it all started.
So what was the first product that you created? Was it the actual fasciitis fighter, like the
Yeah,
for
so
the
I've
board?
just got, it's like this little single one.
Uh-huh.
So this was around for a few years, and then I just due to demand and people wanting to do 2 feet, I just brought out a double length version because a lot of people can't tolerate a single leg calf raise straight away.
Yeah.
And you can also do a few other exercises on the double length ones. Went from the single. Then the single's still a pretty popular one. Like a lot of people can just go straight into a single leg calf raise, but they're probably sort of 50-50 on sales.
And then you have like several other ones. Obviously, we have like the toe bands going from light to heavy. You have the slant board. You also have the foot bridge, right?
Yeah, I've got. I don't actually. Yeah, it's late at night here, and I forgot to bring my footbridge back from the office. But Yeah, so the footbridge is probably the newest one,
What
which
did
is
you
based.
create? What did you create the footbridge?
Oh, I think it would be maybe nearly 2 years ago now. And that was just around the same sort of thing. Like, it's a bit of a hassle creating two plates or two yoga blocks. And same thing, I just thought there's just got to be a little bit of an easier idea for users and practitioners just to put that on the ground and not have to fiddle around with things. Yeah, that sort of just came out of just trying to find a solution to make it a bit easier. And yeah, it maybe could be refined. It still works. It does its job. So yeah, there could be future models in that as well.
And then I guess for you, when you're creating products, you probably have to like search to find the right place maybe to have them create it. So like to actually produce
Document.
the act. Yeah. Where yeah, what were you doing? Like how did you find the actual place to create the product or to produce it?
Um, I think my dad, he has a background in engineering, so he was able to draw like a prototype on a CAD, like a graphics sort of program. And then I got pretty. I remember cutting up some like foam rollers. So I just started like cutting up different foam rollers and trying to make different shapes and seeing what worked. And then I believe like yeah, it was pretty much just trying to find a foam sort of manufacturer. I didn't even know the type of foam that I'd use early on. Uh, it, yeah, I was trying to. I found one like there's lots, but it was one based in China, and then just some samples back and forth, and then I think COVID happened,
Hmm.
and it was just a lot harder to ship product and get product from overseas, and just everything came a bit more difficult. So I ended up finding a foam supplier here on the Gold Coast. So that sort of worked well, but then with volume, it was a little bit difficult. So I ended up eventually finding another manufacturer over in China, and I've used them now for sort of a good six years, I'd say. Sorry, no, after COVID, so maybe 5 years. Yeah.
Hmm. Um, and then as far as like, I know you said you have your dad including it, but are you the one that's designing it too, or does your dad kind of help you design the actual like the slant board, the footbridge?
I've done everything. No, I've just done everything else myself, really. Just
Yeah,
sketch. Yeah, use just programs like Canva and things. Just start creating some shapes and see what works.
because
But it's yeah, the tricky part is sort of like your foam densities, and I've added some little textured sort of grip to make things a bit grippier or feel a bit more comfortable on the feet. So the manufacturer sort of helps me with those because they come up with different ideas. Yeah, if that makes sense.
so I guess to help with the audience, because there are products out there. I would say not similar, but like products to help with the foot. Yours, if you were to say this is my value proposition or like the uniqueness of your product, what would it be that kind of differentiates from other products out there?
Yeah. Okay. So well, it didn't exist at all until I created it.
Huh?
Few, there's been a few copies, but that's going to happen. It's pretty hard to not get your IP stolen these days. But the brand, we've got a pretty good brand now. So, it's not just about the product; it's about the brand
Hmm.
and what we offer with our education and just our community. So yeah, I think that the main thing with our product, it's a simple, reasonably cheap product designed to help you build stronger feet. Like initially it was around sort of helping people with plantar fasciitis or plantar fasciopathy becoming more like load tolerant in that tissue. So the whole idea behind the exercise, which is the high load strength training with the toes extended while doing a calf raise, was around building, better load tolerance through the plantar fascia and building up a stronger foot, allowing you to do sort of tolerate daily activities better, whether that's just walking or running or playing sport. And then it sort of people started using it for different things, and then there's been a lot of research around just having a stronger foot and better sports performance. More powerful with jumping and sprinting, with having a stronger foot, stronger big toe. So yeah, people started buying it just for the benefits of strength training, not to recover from an injury as such. So yeah, so it's sort of like a specific product to do the high load strength training on. It's the way we've designed it. Hopefully, it's a lot more comfortable on people's feet. The foam's got, it's reasonably high density, but it's got some memory and give in it, so it's not too aggressive on the sort of metatarsal heads of your foot. Yeah, so there's some other things, similar sort of products, but yeah, I suppose they're all a little bit unique in their own ways.
Sure. Yeah, I've
Does that
noticed
answer?
it. Yes, it does. It does answer my question. Even including with the, let's say, so let's kind of talk about like the plantar fascia. Obviously, that's like, everyone's favorite thing that always creeps up here and there. I was watching one of your reels where you had an exclusive interview with plantar fascia.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's part of my, yeah, so, like, for a foot product, it's a bit hard to, get people enthusiastic around the product, so I have created a lot of memes over the years and which I think's helped grow the social media page. We've got around 40,000 followers, so it's not too bad for a strange foot product and feet.
Yeah. So I want to understand, I guess, what the plantar fascia does. Also, what the reasoning why you should load the plantar fascia, and I guess how people have a perception of that. You have to do all these passive ways, like you're saying, like I guess mentioning is like icing,
Oh,
resting,
yeah.
all those common things that people are typically told by practitioners that, oh, you just got to rest or just got to ease it off. In your perspective, how would someone help overcome or actually alleviate those pain from plantar fascia? So give us some practical tips people can take right away.
Yeah, firstly, so the plantar fascia is like a fibrous, collagenous band of tissue under the foot, and so when we walk, and then our toe extends, that'll sort of put tension on your plantar fascia, and that causes the foot just to sort of become more rigid. So it's a strong sort of base to sort of push off on, and then when you come off it, it sort of relaxes again a bit. So it's a important structure to allow the foot to function properly. And then yeah, what happens is this tissue people generally do too much too quickly. So it could be anything, but basically, plantar fascia doesn't like that surprise of doing a lot more than it's used to, and it can become really really sore. And so we used to, well, it still gets called plantar fasciitis just because that's hard to change that name that everyone knows. But the
Hmm.
itis is the itis is suggesting it's an inflamed condition. Whereas now, like, there still may be a degree of inflammation in certain cases, but a lot more of it is more of we call it a plantar heel pain or a plantar fasciopathy. So we're potentially seeing some changes in the collagen tissue, like some degenerative micro tears and some other things happening. So saying that, we probably need to change the way we manage it if we're trying to manage inflammation, like you said, with ice and anti-inflammatories, and that's not really what's driving the problem. Then maybe we have to try and manage it in a different way. So that's where that study looked at trying some strength training. It was just a small study, and there's been some bigger ones, but and certainly it's a tricky condition, and no one thing is gonna miraculously help every single case. It can be really stubborn, and you know, even doing all the best things for some people, it just can still be a really horrible one to get rid of.
So I guess if you were to like, inform like your customer base of how to use the fasciitis fighter, what are these steps that people would take like to start off beginning? Is it just with toe bands, with the actual board? What would you say is the first few things that people should work on when they're starting to work on the feet and from the ground up?
Yeah, yeah. So my biggest thing is, it's very individual. So we can't, just give people specifics for there because, everyone's a little bit different. But, in general, people like them, if it's really acute, they do need to let it calm down a little bit. So that would generally involve some sort of deloading, which allows the tissue to become a little bit less sensitive. And then from there, then I'm a big believer in trying to build its desensitizing it through progressively exposing it to some more load. And so that load, that might just be using some resistance with the bands, with the toe bands. It might be just doing some calf raises on a flat surface, followed by some more aggressive calf raises on the fasciitis fighter with the toes extended. And then obviously, the amount you do it, the reps, the sets, that can all start off on a lower scale
Hmm.
and work out how you pull up after your session. Like you don't want to irritate things, so you want to build up slowly and build that load tolerance. So and your foot strength, so it's going to take time. So it's just about being sensible and building it up.
Yeah.
And then I think like I'm a big fan of probably less supportive shoes. Like your barefoot style shoes. Like I'll still wear you know I don't know, different types of shoes, but I don't know if it's a Kiwi thing, but an Australian thing, but I don't really wear shoes that often. We grew up in bare feet, played a lot of sport in bare feet, so yeah, it's just been I don't wear shoes that often unless I have to.
Uh-huh.
If I'm in the clinic or office, I'll wear them, playing some sport, but yeah, spend a lot of time just in bare feet.
Yeah, I grew up Hawaii, so like being barefoot was, you know, common if you're at outside playing for sure. So I understand that. But, once I moved to the continental US, then I start to see myself wear more shoes and sandal flip flops. And I'm like, oh man. And of course when I go back home, it's like my feet becomes atrophied because I haven't been on, uneven surfaces or on rocks a lot. So I see
Just
that
and
there.
sensitive to that.
Yeah. So I see that like common, I guess, in today's world where everything is flat surfaced, hard concrete, there's not enough texture underneath the foot and the foot becomes weak because we're always stuck in, like I said, shoes, or things that pad our foot. How important is it to get, in your view, to get different textures or even just getting your foot barefoot because that's important because it's a sensory organ. It's how you sense the world around you. It's the foot, right? It's the first thing that touches the ground.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, definitely. Like if your foot's always, surrounded by socks and soft, foam, like it just never it's never exposed to those different sensations, and that's gonna, you're just not stimulated through your feet, through your balance. So yeah, and different textures, so there's a lot of sensory nerve endings in your foot. So I think it's a pretty important part of people getting stronger feet and becoming more load tolerant. Shoes are important and useful for many things. And so I'm not saying, never wear shoes. Yeah, just around the behaviors. And people being, like some people are afraid to not wear their supportive shoes just because, they've had a bad experience with foot pain. And then
Hmm.
that's, that's what they think is going to happen. So, a lot of it's around education and, discussing that, well, we can help you, if you like to barefoot more and enjoy walking out in the grass in your bare feet, then we can help you with that.
And then, of course, with people who are into barefoot shoes or minimalist type of shoes, how does strengthening the foot and barefoot shoes or minimalist shoes help with that? Because I noticed when I got into wearing barefoot shoes 2 years ago, I didn't really work on strengthening my foot and doing all these things that I should to get into barefoot shoes. I just started wearing barefoot shoes, which most people do, but that was an afterthought until I started getting into you know this type of work. So how would you say you can tell people that strengthening the foot and getting to barefoot shoes correlates each other? If someone wants to go straight into barefoot shoes, they might, or too quick, too fast, they
Yeah, yeah,
might
yeah.
start experiencing it.
I think like yeah, there could be a like certainly you could just gradually integrate into barefoot shoes without sort of probably doing specific foot strength exercises. Like you said, you just have to make sure you do it progressively and gradually. Obviously my bias would be to combine that with some foot strengthening, so your foot muscles are used to taking more load. So I think that they're just going to work together. But even if I go to the gym and do leg exercises in my barefoot shoes, the foot muscles are getting a bit of a workout in that manner as well, without actually sort of doing them specifically, I suppose. Like if
Hmm.
I'm doing a leg press or a squat in my shoes, and my foot muscles are going to be working pretty hard as well. So I think, even just people getting into barefoot shoes, their feet are going to have to work harder than they're used to. So they're already sort of doing some strength work by just wearing barefoot shoes. It's the balance of not going too hard too quickly.
So, a common theme has been progressive overload or gradually increasing that load. I feel like, and
Yeah,
that's something I want to hone on the message to with people is like, like you're mentioning, it's depending on the person and the situation is like just easy, slowly easy. Cause I think for myself, like it's 30 years of confinement in shoes. If you happen to be wearing shoes, a lot of people do. So you have to think about it as like, it's going to take time for that foot
exactly.
to gain muscles again, or to gain that mobility. So yeah, long-term game into doing this. So it's something I think hopefully more people who are getting into, minimalist shoes, which is a growing trend, but it's also educating people like it's important to also, look at the foot as a muscle and any other part of the body instead of just a feet. Because yeah, once you, get injured, that's the first thing you look at is the foot. It's like, okay, finally there is a thing down there. But we we don't think about it because we take it for granted because we just start our day walking and we don't look at the feet.
If you have plantar fasciitis, you're going to wake up and know about that pretty quickly, unfortunately. And there's the SID principle, so the SAID. That's one it's very simple, and that's specific. So adaptation to impose demands. So your body, if you demand something out of your body, it's generally going to adapt. Whether you get calluses on your hands from doing more gardening or going to the gym, like you might start with a blister and then your body knows it's got to lay down some tougher tissue. So I
Hmm.
think, the body's very smart at adapting. So the specific adaptation to impose demands principle is just, what I think about on the feet. If you demand more out of it, it's gonna adapt.
If you were to help uh, gen population rather than athletes, what are the common hurdles that you have to help with gen population about how the foot is, like I said, everything starts from the ground up. How would you educate someone about the foot and importance of the foundation of our body?
Yeah, like I, I don't know. I still keep things pretty simple. I try not to overcomplicate it, but obviously, if you've got a stronger foot and they're just sort of you're probably a better splay. I just think your balance is going to be that much better. Your gait's going to get better. Whether there's going to be arguments on how much that affects the up the chain. I don't, I don't know. There's that much research we can sort of speculate that pushes things up, but everyone's individual. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's certainly something I look at a lot of. Whether people just have foot issues or something a little bit higher up.
And then, of course, I guess for your brand, how did you grow your brand from the time you started 8 years ago to now? Like, what was it that took your brand to the way that it is today?
So early on, I had like a reasonably good physio Instagram page. So I had my sort of influencer friends. So I sort of just wrote them a message. I've got this new product. Do you want to try it? And everyone's pretty nice and happy to help out. So yeah, and then a few of these bigger accounts, a lot in the US, just shared a video of them using this new product. And then next minute, I had like orders from NBA teams and NFL teams, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bit crazy." And obviously, just that sort of momentum, more people know about it. But yeah, like social media, like just a game changer with just people helping out, even just sharing videos. Yeah, so it's been yeah, it's been a bit of a journey.
And then what are you doing to create more awareness, education around your products and your brand? Like, what are you planning to do in the future? Like, do you have stuff coming out as far as like educational video platforms and stuff?
Yeah, like I'm just all on. I do everything myself still. Like I outsource a few things, so it's finding time to add things. But yeah, there's lots of ideas. I'm just trying to always improve the product and the brand. We we're in America at a big running conference years last year, so sort of getting to more into trying to get into retail with in different areas. But we've got quite a few distributors as well. So and it's tricky. Like you want to like bring out another product, but it's also quite good just to sort of focus on what products you have at the time and just sort of improve those as well. Otherwise, things can get a bit stretched. Yeah, and then like you said, just trying to probably improve like exercise libraries and things like that. Like we were chatting, just been creating a bit of content, trying to add a bit of humor and not keep it so dry, especially with the algorithm these days. Dry education about feet will get about 30 views, so it's not great for growing your brain. So you got to try and make it interesting, add a bit of fun to it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's yeah, definitely. I think in the space of foot health, fascia too, like you have to find some unique aspects, I guess, instead of just posting content.
It's really disappointing. Well, it's really hard as well because a big sort of influencer with millions of followers will just throw out some really poor information, and then that's just gone to the masses, and that's what we're trying to sort of undo is this misinformation that's readily available on.
What are the most common misinformation that you have about like plantar fasciitis and stuff that you've seen? Wild stuff.
Yeah, like a lot of it, it depends. Like it being inflammatory and tears, and people just need to rest it and avoid bare feet. Like never go bare feet. They might need to have a break from bare feet if they're acutely fed up, but you know, to say never go bare feet or never walk with anything that doesn't have support, things like that.
Hmm.
You know, just even the word pronation, which is like a supination, like normal movements through the foot, they get demonized somehow, like they're a bad thing. So yeah, it's about just trying to steer people in the right direction with some education.
Cool. And then, of course, last but not least, where can my followers and listeners find more information about Fascist Fighter? So, if you want to share with the audience, social media, email, any ways that they can interact, and of course, purchase your product from across the globe.
Yeah, so Instagram, Facebook, Threads, we're just at Fasciitis Fighter. Website, we've got a couple of different websites. So US is just fasciitisfighter.com. And then we have a .com.au, which is like an Australian worldwide site. So we've just got like a separate website for the US and then a worldwide site at the .com. So depending where you are. But if you get to one, you can click between the two. So that's quite simple. Yeah, and if anyone's got any questions around the products, they can email me at info@fasciitisfighter.com.au. So, or on the socials, just send me a DM. I'm pretty good at getting back to people, just not people asking for weird foot pics and things like that.
I'm sure you had your share, man. Cool. Well, hey, Hamish, appreciate you hopping on the podcast, showcasing, of course, your product and sharing your story. I think that's the important part for my podcast is just getting the person behind the product and showcasing who they are, what they're doing in the mission. So I appreciate you for hopping on.
Yeah, appreciate your time, Ian, and yeah, thanks for having me. Hopefully, your listeners got a little bit out of it, and yeah, strong feet are happy feet. So kick on.
Right on. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Bye.